All right, so this should look familiar. We're on your landing page, and then from here, I'm just going to go to reports. And just like building a report in our last session, I'm going to select what I've been using lately, which is our balanced equity portfolio, just as a demo. And then I'm also going to apply a value set as well. This is the same value set that we've been using throughout the series of these videos. I've just applied a few additional values to include accountability as well. So under report.
Hey, Michael.
Yes.
I have a question on the value set.
Sure.
So I know you can, I don't know how many there are total, like 50, 60, right?
Value sets, well, I mean, no, you can create your own value set as well. Yeah.
Oh, am I confusing that with screens maybe?
Individual metrics?
So we have individual
metrics. Yeah.
There could be close to 160 individual metrics that you can apply. And then what you'll do is when you create a value set, those values are then mapped to individual metrics that you would be looking at.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
So this is a value set. And again, just kind of recap how we apply those value sets, or we derive those value sets. These are value sets that you're either getting from your clients through the values picker or the values questionnaire, or like I often kind of coach advisors, is utilizing the values picker to set up a value set for your practice. So we're kind of in one of those scenarios. Either we're looking at maybe one of our model portfolios and looking at how we can report out on it, or we have an upcoming client meeting and we want to report to the client their non-financial impact of their portfolio as well. So for this demonstration, I've just named a value set, just YourStake 401 value set. And then rather than looking at a set of metrics, YourStake maps the values to various metaphors that provide a more tangible explanation underneath this right here, the metaphor report. So we're in our reports tab, reports tool. We've uploaded a portfolio and applied a value set, just like we're going to build a regular report, but then you would just click on the metaphor report. And like I was saying before, these provide a more tangible explanation to the client of the non-financial performance. We should caution here that to the client that they're not achieving impact in the sense that we all know it, but instead we're avoiding negative impacts of their portfolio. So for example, if your client were to invest $1 million over 10 years in this portfolio, they would be responsible for a little over 40,000 fewer alcoholic drinks. Gabe often likes to kind of use the dog analogy. As a dog owner, I'm responsible for everything my dog does. So if my dog bites my neighbor, I am responsible despite myself not having actually bit my neighbor, right? Similar to your portfolio. Just because you may not be working for that company, by investing in that company, you attribute or kind of contribute to the overall performance of that company, right? So you may be responsible for whatever that company produces. In this case, we're looking at alcoholic drinks and the impact of those alcoholic drinks. Scrolling through the page on the right, you can see various metaphors. So similar to those values that you may pick, you can toggle through or select various metaphors that will apply to the situation that you might be in. Just like our metrics in the impact section of our report, each metaphor is linked. Clicking on the metric will allow you to dive deeper into the metaphor of interest and see how it's calculated. Right, so we can click on right here where it's highlighted. You can see it kind of changes color. Click on that. On the left, we have our funds within the portfolio. And in the middle, we can see how many drinks were produced by the companies contained within each fund. In this case, only the top two mutual funds, SEMNX and COIIX, contain alcohol producers. On the right, we see the amount of alcohol produced by companies within the corresponding benchmark, right? So we have our portfolio here on the left. In the middle, we have the number of alcoholic drinks produced from your invested dollars and the number of alcoholic drinks produced within the total equity market. I can then click on either the fund itself or on this benchmark value and look at comparing the volume of drinks produced by the fund and the corresponding benchmark side by side. So you can just click on that, and you can dive deeper into where within SEM and X is there an alcohol producer versus that of the total world equity market. So as far as use cases, we have clients that are using this for not only just reporting out to clients themselves, but for external marketing purposes as well. You may want to say all of our clients, all of the households that we represent in total produce X number of alcohol, or responsible for X number of fewer alcoholic drinks, or X number of fewer COPD cases. This report is fully customizable. So at the champion tier, they're all fully customizable. So fonts, colors can all be changed to match your branding and complement other documents like a proposal that you might present to the client. This is separate from adding your logo, which can be done from the homepage. So this is an entirely new, different level of customization within the reports. We've gone over some of the reports in the impact report. We've touched upon just now on the metaphor report itself. Kind of taking that one step a level above would be our institutional report. And the institutional report attempts to aggregate both some of the previous reports that we've gone over, as well as some of the metaphors. And I'll go through this report and kind of show you what we mean. So again, first you have the title page here, table of contents, and then the introduction provides an explanation of our approach to data, as well as what we do in the event of a coverage gap here at the bottom, right? In the impact objectives provides a crosswalk between United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and the relevant YourStake metrics used. So this is similar to what I was just describing earlier with Andrew's question in terms of selecting value sets and then taking those values and mapping them to particular metrics. In this case, we've kind of gone and done it another way around, where we've taken those relevant metrics and then mapped them to relevant UN SDGs. This is great if you have institutional clients that may have a particular target area or focus relative to UN SDGs, to kind of show them how they are achieving or attributing to those United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. After that, we have an overview of the portfolio allocation. And then we have an aggregate impact report, which provides a report similar to the relative comparison that we've seen in our previous videos. So we have on the left here how the portfolio is performing, and then we're comparing it to the blended benchmark. If we wanted to, we could come up here and select another portfolio to use as a comparison, and that would be reflected down below in that comparison report. So if you're in a competitive situation, for example, particularly maybe with an institutional client or a family trust, you may want to load in how they're currently invested and use that as the comparison, and then compare it to what the portfolio could look like going forward. And then as we scroll further down, we're going to see that metaphor report that I just went over. It's just in a slightly different format. It still has a lot of the disclaimers and an explanation of our approach to the methodology. Both the aggregated impact report and the metaphors are all hyperlinked the same way we would see in our traditional reports. One of the things that I would just kind of caution you is if you were to send this as a separate PDF to a client via email, none of these would be hyperlinked. All of that is going to lie by sending them the link to the report itself, as opposed to the PDF, right? After the metaphor reports, we're going to get into shareholder engagement. This may be a concept that some of your clients are unfamiliar with. So we provide a brief explanation of shareholder engagement and our approach, followed by a page very similar to our shareholder engagement section in our Inspiring report. For each of the impact categories we listed, the companies that have changed their course of their course due to shareholder engagement efforts by the fund managers, and provide a link to the impact report for reference. So here are the number of companies within the impact area of health. So 8 companies within the impact area of health have changed course. And here are some of the fund managers' reports and what they've engaged with constituent companies on, and a link to that report here. And then finally, we get to our appendices. Our first appendix here includes some additional disclaimers, followed by Appendix A, which is just a list of the funds within this portfolio itself. Let's see here. I think I've got a question.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
I noticed most of the fund companies here are, companies that, that really are committed to this shareholder engagement.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering how you, Scott Cadish, how you source the data, because, companies like BlackRock and other Nuveen, which, do more traditional investing too, kind of also do a pretty good job, getting their shareholder engagement. So I'm just curious, how do you pull that, the data out? It looks like, most of these fund companies that have effectively been pulled seem to be, at their core committed to the engagement piece, as opposed to being more like, good at putting together a marketing materials. So is there any way that you're actually differentiating between like a Boston Common versus a BlackRock?
Okay. Yeah. So that would that's more of a nature of just like the portfolio that I've selected here. So the way we would be kind of curating that information is just going into those impact reports themselves, or those sustainability reports, or press releases that those fund managers may have issued out. And then if you had a portfolio that contained BlackRock, and BlackRock was engaging with companies on issues that were relevant to the value set you selected, they would appear here as well. So we don't discriminate between companies like BlackRock or Vanguard versus like Boston or Domini or Parnassus. It's just a matter of the funds that I've selected here.
Okay. Yeah, I was just trying to see if there was a specific nuance. I mean, I'm not saying that BlackRock and Nuveen, they can't do effective work with shareholder engagement. I just think, I think there could be a difference in the, are they, yeah, I mean, I guess the question is, are they greenwashing? I mean, it's what it is. If, it says like Domini pushes 8 companies to disclose EEO-1 diversity data. If you just swap out Domini and BlackRock, I guess that's what it is, that's
right. Domini just wouldn't show up there. BlackRock,
right.
If BlackRock engaged on that, or maybe something else that was relevant, then that would show up. Or what you may see is if you had BlackRock and they didn't engage with companies, this number of 250 may decrease to maybe 200 or something like that. So yeah, it's going to change and evolve and reflect the portfolio that you've uploaded.
Got it.
And then in the chat, looks like Amanda had a question. Did YourStake generate that impact report, or did you add that info about companies impacted? And then Robin, I think, has a good explanation here. I didn't read it yet. Sorry, Robin. YourStake gathers this data and then aggregates the number of companies changed. I think she was answering the other, aggregates the number of companies changed due to fund managers' shareholder engagement based upon the funds in the portfolio. So yeah, so to answer Amanda's question, I think you were looking at this impact report here, I'm assuming. Okay, yeah. So this is going to be the same report. If you don't have access to the institutional level reports, this would be the report that you would see that's similar to the, I always get these confused. I believe it's our relative comparison report. So you're just looking at 2 bar charts side by side. And then in that report, comparison relative. it would look similar, like just like this. So it's the same concept. Just showing two portfolios side by side, or in this case, we're looking at a benchmark compared to a portfolio, and we're able to say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Client, if you invested with us, your portfolio would be invested in 71% fewer companies involved in toxic water pollution and so forth. And we do aggregate these based off of the weight of the companies within the mutual fund or in the funds, and then the weight of the fund within the portfolio itself. So we focus at the company level and then expand that up to reflect the overall performance of the portfolio. Cool. Good questions. Thank you. Do we have any other questions?
I think now is a good place to just mention, and I'll put this in the chat too, that for anyone that would like access to the institutional style report, and you don't already have access it, reach out to myself or Mike. I'll put our emails in the chat, and we can discuss with you what it would look like to change subscription levels or add just the institutional report to the access that you have now. And then as well as, you know, for everyone on the call that has or will have access to the institutional style report, for the customization piece on the fonts, the colors, making it look more like your branded fonts and colors, same thing, reach out to me so that we can work with you to get that implemented for your firm-wide reports.
Emails are in the chat.
Thanks, Jack.
All right. Do we want to potentially transition over to some of the new tools? Does anyone have any questions or curiosity about the new tools we've been working on?
Yes, totally interested.
All right, excellent.
Yeah.
I think Gabe is going to be joining soon with that here. We'll see if he is just about out of another meeting.
Robin, when you mentioned reaching out to you for help on changing things like customizing our reports, do you mean that is it outside of our ability to just do ourselves? We haven't gotten in there yet.
Yep. Yeah, really great question, Julie. So this would be for the institutional style report, which we can, you know, if you give us your fonts, your
I see. So we don't have the institutional one yet. We're on a different tier. But I think we still can customize our stuff. Is that true? Other tiers?
So for the impact style reports, if you're talking about the metrics and things that display, yes, you can customize all of that. For the color schemes and the font, like the text font
logo
styles, that's going to be more customizable in the institutional report specifically.
Okay,
and that just requires, you know, us working with your team to get those color schemes and to get the font types, and we implement that on our end so it shows up for you.
Perfect.
And that is, again, for the institutional style report.
Got it.
Yep, really great question. Andrew, great question. I will look into this for you and get back to you.
If there aren't any other questions, Gabe has the floor.
Awesome. Hey everybody. I guess I should have gotten the memo on the new YourStake backgrounds, but I still love my Miles Davis, so I don't know if I'll move into that fold. So really excited to be on with you all. I'm going to show some updates to some AI tools that we are working on. some people are new to this call, so it'll be I'll give a very basic introduction on what we're doing. And for other people, you'll be able to see some of the progress that we've made since our last community session. So the big picture idea is that YourStake has been really focusing in 2023 on helping to build tools and functionality that can be helpful generally for everything that you do as advisors. We see a lot of potential for new technology and artificial intelligence to be able to help automate a lot of processes that you're working on and make things really helpful in a lot of different ways. So we've been working on building out new tools that are now in early access. And if you see anything that you like, please put in the chat that you want access, and we'll be able to give you early access for anything that you see. So what I'm going to start by showing is our way to be able to upload a portfolio, receive as a brokerage statement. Sorry. So brokerage statement PDF, normally if you get it, most people have to do manual entry. It can be really frustrating, take a ton of time. This will allow you to download the results of the portfolio, all the portfolio holdings immediately, get an automatic analytics, and then be able to generate a client-facing presentation, which, to Julie's question, which I heard as I was joining, has a lot of ability to customize. So that's kind of one of the customizations, that directions that we're going in. Then I'll also show a little bit of our investment search functionality that we're building out as well. Please ask questions at any time in the chat and we'll be able to answer. And if you see anything you like, again, reach out in the chat and we'll be able to schedule a time to give you access. So I'll start with our little page where you can upload a portfolio. So I'm going to go statements and we'll go mock TD and we'll upload this portfolio. And you can see here that we have this compare with. So by default, it's going to be VOO, that you're running every comparison to the S&P 500, but you can actually select any portfolio that you've uploaded into YourStake to be able to, in this use case, a prospect sends you their brokerage statement, their TD brokerage statement. You are able to then compare it with one of your model portfolios, for example, and get an instant analytics and an analysis on how the prospect's current portfolio compares to your proposed portfolio on a whole bunch of different metrics. So I'll be able to show you what those are right now. So it does an automatic sector breakdown, asset class breakdown, returns, volatility, expense ratio, and these are our early analytics. I just wanted to share actually later on, I'll show you what all the analytics will look like later. I'll show you the roadmap of what we're adding. From here, what we can do is we can click download portfolio. And just like I said before, we uploaded a brokerage statement. Now we get all the holdings right in here, transactions, realized gains and losses. Everything that we want is in a spreadsheet to be able to do whatever operations we need on it. And then we also have all these analytics, and we can click through each tab to be able to see charts on everything that's going on of, again, the portfolio compared to VOO or whatever portfolio you select as the comparison portfolio. From here, we can click generate presentation as well, which is something that our team is finalizing this week, and we'll have presentation mode ready by next week. And what that will do is it'll allow you to be able to select which tabs you want to include in your final presentation. And then from there, you're able to select, yeah, I want to show fees, I want to show asset allocation, I don't want to show sector allocation, whatever it might be. You then get a PowerPoint preview, and it will actually download as a PowerPoint file. So Julie, to your question about customization, one, it downloads as a PowerPoint, so you can customize anything, but two, you'll be able to select your logo and colors to be able to customize what this downloads as. And that will obviously include a value section alongside everything else that's going on here.
Nice.
So I just wanted to pause here in case people had any questions while I'm screen sharing and can't see the chat. And otherwise, actually, no, last thing, sorry. I wanted to show the additional analytics that we're working on. So right now there's asset allocation, sector diversification, returns, volatility, and expense ratio. We've already built out all the analytics for all the others, and we will soon, likely next week or the week after, be adding market cap breakdown, values alignment, risk alignment, top holdings, geography breakdown, portfolio summary, alpha beta, tracking error. So I just wanted to share that in terms of what tabs will you see along the top. It'll be more than just these 5.
Yeah, I have a question about the default comparison.
Mhm.
Do you have a way that the AI can read the asset class breakdown of the portfolio you're trying to compare it to and create a similar benchmark with whatever traditional mix? Does that make
That is,
sense?
yes, it can, and that's actually a really great idea. Um, thank you for the suggestion. But that's certainly within its capabilities. So you would want to see something like, so this, if we go to the asset class breakdown,
Right, because you have some right existing portfolio, right? Let's just say it's
yep,
close to 60-40, right?
yep,
So we may have designed a 60-40 that we could use, but I guess we'd have to program in these different mixes of, right? If we wanted to compare it to our own 60-40.
yeah. So quick question there: would you want it to be mirroring the allocation with something like standard index funds, so bonds? It could be ag, or it would be find the portfolio that you have that is going to be the closest fit from an asset allocation perspective.
Right. So this is comparing someone's current non-SRI portfolio typically.
Mhm.
Right. So I guess we'd want to compare it to what we would propose that would be SRI.
Cool.
And so if we didn't have to build, 10 models, let's say, right? And it just knew, it could tell, I don't know.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and is very doable. And actually, maybe one more question. When you say you wouldn't want to have to build 10 models, so it could do two things. One is it could, if you have 10 models built out, it could find which model is going to be the best fit based on asset allocation of ones you've already built out. Or two is if you have a list of funds that you use, it could determine the allocations for you to match the allocation of the current portfolio. Let me know if you've a preference for either of those.
Yeah. I guess we are having the models elsewhere, so maybe it wouldn't be so hard to import them.
Mhm.
You know, um, so if it could just tell us the mix, then we could match it up with the right mix for the comparison.
Mhm.
You know, yeah.
Hey, Gabe, I just want to chime in and make sure I am understanding the use case. This is Charles here, by the way.
Sure.
Um, for that particular functionality, when you compared it to VOO, my assumption was you were just comparing it to a standard benchmark and you're using VOO as a proxy. Is that correct?
Yes. Yep, that's true.
Yeah. So then building on the previous question about the comparison, what would be helpful for kind of my use case would be able to um, have the client's portfolio, but have that model benchmark replicate their actual holdings. So it's not necessarily for me comparing my models on the platform to what the statement is. It's really comparing the statement to a standardized model or benchmark to get the data. That would be my use case application.
So you would want it to be 60-40 Acquiag as an example. If they had
Correct.
an allocation that mirrored that, you would want just standard benchmarks to be able to run
Correct.
the comparison, and it would intelligently select which benchmark is going to be a good fit.
Right. And then I guess
Cool.
the only thing that I have to compare it to would be like a Morningstar, and they use the actual benchmark data, right? So I don't know if that'll be possible on this platform, but just a standard fund or ETF that has a pretty clean tracking of a standard benchmark would suffice.
Makes a lot of sense.
Just to add on that, you'd also be able to instead of VOO use any portfolio that you already have like preloaded within YourStake. So if you know that you're always going to use a 60-40 Acquiag, you can have that built and then just name it whatever you want, 60-40 Acquiag, and then pull that up and use that as the benchmark. So you have a great degree of latitude in how you can tweak that selected benchmark. VOO is just what we've been using as a default within this beta development.
Sounds good. What else you guys got going on?
Sure. So to recap that, again, you upload a brokerage statement, and even if you don't use the analytics, if you just want to download it into a spreadsheet format, you can do that right away. You can then get the analytics here and then generate a presentation for a client. Another thing that we're working on is an investment search functionality. So this is something that I actually loaded up Jared last time we had a community session called Jared Asked About Cobalt Miners. So I loaded that up here as an example. But if you have clients or you have your own investment thesis that you want to explore, you're able to type in anything that's very specific and be able to find companies and funds that are good matches based on essentially the AI identifying what is going to be a relevant theme. And it's not just doing keyword searches. That's the advantage here, is that it's able to do more of a semantic search. So it understands what you're asking for and then goes beyond the keywords. So here are a couple examples of what this can look like. And I plugged in cobalt miners. You can see broken down by companies or funds. And then you're able to read the reason why it's a good fit, understand their investment strategy. And then we have the ability to click into any of the companies that you want to as well. And I'll just go with this one as an example. And then be able to see additional information on financial performance and other information about the companies or funds as well. Oh.
Nice. That looks great. That's really exciting.
Do you have one that you want to try out?
Gosh, well, let's see. Hey, Alan, you help me out. We went through his portfolio the other day. Are you on here? Let's see. Let's see. Would a alternative protein, or let's see, like mycoprotein, or
Let's give it a shot. I don't think anyone searched this one before, so it might take a minute or so with the more accurate search. What's that, Alan?
Soylent Green.
Soylent Green?
It's a company called Soylent. I was just thinking Soylent Green.
There it is. Soylent Corp came up. Yeah.
Oh, I think those are fake companies.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, nice.
But I think Soylent is what that meal replacement that shows up all the time at hackathons. And by the way, while I'm loading this, anyone is able to access this link already for the checkup stuff. That's something that we need to turn on for you, and we can schedule time with you if you want to get access to this. But for this investment idea or search generator, does someone from the team mind just putting this link in the chat? YourStake.org UI visitor generate portfolio, and then people can actually try this out on their own for any idea or thesis that they have.
Yep, adding it in right now.
Excellent.
Nice. Yeah, I'm excited to play around with this.
I got it in there, Jack.
Thank you, Robin.
That.
I'm just going to check on the progress of this.
Oh, and pro tip for the investment idea generator, you'll want to copy that link and paste it into the browser that you are using, or that you're already logged into YourStake on.
Okay.
Cool. It just popped up. All right. So we've got Odd Burger Corp, Work in NutriScience, Synopta.
Okay.
And then you're able to see it's, I guess, 3 companies here, and then funds. EV makes sense. We know that one
Neat.
will.
I knew that would pop up. Yeah. Okay. Nice.
And I guess a lot of environmental opportunities also include alternative protein.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
Mhm.
So with that, pending any final questions, that concludes our presentation for today. Thank you so much for coming. And as we've said, we'll be sending out the videos for all 3 sessions as a follow-up, as well as a link. Please circle August 23rd, Wednesday, August 23rd, same bat time for our next session.
Cool. And if anyone has any other questions, it looks like there are some hands raised, so feel free to stay on and we will answer them. And again, if you want access to that portfolio checkup, the download information from the brokerage statement, as well as generate the automatic analytics and proposal, just let us know in the chat and email, whatever it might be, and we can turn that on for you. So yeah, any other questions, go for it.